Today we're going to be looking at voice agents doing live audio in real time. So you can see the streaming, transcription. This is using Assembly AI's streaming speech to text API, which is recently released, and I've been giving it a go. So I'm just going to show you what it does. Hello, my name is Ben. This is an example. This is another sentence, and this is a really long sentence that I'm thinking about as I'm writing it down, actually saying it. Okay, so you can basically see it's very quick, it's very accurate, and it also has all of this data in API format too. So there's a number of things that are happening here. So I'm just going to touch briefly on the fact that it is really, really fast. 300 milliseconds is about the time it takes you to blink. 91% accuracy. It's really good for company names, proper nouns, and 15 cents an hour. So you could run this consistently for 8 hours a day, and it'll cost you $1.20. So that's just cheap, fast, and accurate. Interesting. So they've got their documentation here with their quick start guides. It shows you exactly how to set it up, the core concepts. So effectively, turn object is like a complete thought or sentence. So like that was, or that was. So when you take a natural pause or finish your thought, that entire chunk of text becomes a turn object. So it includes obviously the words you said, when you started, when you stopped, how confident the system is that it heard you correctly, and whether the turn is completely finished. And they also have immutable transcription. So, you know, if you've seen voice agents, when you're saying something, you might say like, I like cats, and it shows cats but then changes it to cars. This won't do that. Whatever is written on the page once you've spoken, the word will not change. It's hard to build things on top of like dynamically changing data. So when words change in a transcription, that can mess up all sorts of follow-on processes that need to happen. And they've also got a voice agent use case with an example flow, and you can use these other voice agents and integrate with them. They've got a few other use cases that you can see here and some references. I would love to see some like example, like clone this repo to build it. And of course you can copy the page as Markdown to ask an AI to help you figure it out. It just comes like this. Back on the playground, I'm just going to talk through what some of these things are. Format turns is returning the formatted text, the formatted final transcript. So if I turn that off and I start talking, this is what it's going to be doing instead of what it did before. So basically, format turns strips out the formatting. And then end of turn confidence is basically saying, how sure should the system be that you're done talking before it marks it as like a complete thought? So you can set it really low and it'll be quick to assume you're done, or you can set it really high and it'll take a bit longer to be absolutely sure that you are done. The minimum end of turn silence when confident is effectively just how long does the system wait until it thinks you're done talking. The default is 1.6 seconds, but you can change that for faster or slower speakers as well. And then max turn silence is basically if someone stops talking for this long, just assume that they are done. So if we play around with some of these and make this really short and this be really high, let's see what it can do. Okay, so it seems like it's quite good for knowing when I'm finishing a word, but I'm having to take longer pauses in between sentences for it to format the different sentence, like this one. So there it was basically saying I hadn't paused for more than 2.4 seconds before it did this final part of the sentence in a new line. And then I'm just going to show you the accuracy when I'm using voice agents. I always get caught on this one. I have to like keep adding it to my dictionary. Is saying super bass. So there, it did it correctly, and it spelled it correctly. So that's great. Okay, so this is obviously really good for like any voice agent. The agent can actually start processing what you're saying before you finish talking. It allows the streaming sort of back and forth. And talking with AI voice mode is there's like the weird, awkward silence between you and the agent, and then you might butt in, and then they try and butt in back to you. So this is a tool that is going to help systems to not feel like that anymore. And you can use it with things like Replit. So I think it's 2 prompts. I'll show you it now. What I did is I basically grabbed the Markdown file here, pasted it into Replit Agent. I said, use the attached documentation, build a super simple app where I can press a button to record my voice, enable permissions, and show the streaming responses, and then the final output. So built it in a couple of minutes. Obviously, it needed my API key, so I just set that up. And then it was working. It would just give me the live transcription and the final output, but both would change every time I had a new turn. So I basically just pointed it to the section of the documentation to say, this implementation strategy is what you should follow. So I just asked it, can we just configure the turn ending time and other settings shown in the docs? Transcript's good, but the final transcript isn't behaving like the examples in the document. I want to see the final output and append future voice interactions so that the output can like keep going down, because I just would lose it and wouldn't be able to copy it. So it made those changes, and then just doing a little test to see if this is working. Looks like it is. I've got everything set up quite fast. You can see there's only 800 millisecond silence and 400 millisecond confidence silence. So yeah, I wanted it to have, this is the current turn, this is the live, and then this is the complete transcript. So you can copy that and use it if you wanted to. Easy. So yeah, really good API, really fast, does what it says on the tin. I really recommend checking it out for any voice-related apps, workflows that you are working on.